Is it rolling? Is that all that on camera? Yeah, get that in the edit, McKevin. That is fucking gold, liquid gold.
I really need a poo as well.
Shut up. There we go.
No, keep it to yourself.
I bet your face
till you get home.
But your pooing is awful.
It is actually.
Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Your topics. You send in the questions, we discuss them. This week might not be as strong as other weeks. We went out last night, we collected an FBA award that you voted for, Best International Channel. Thank you very much, you gorgeous people.
Well done.
And Stratton wasn't there because he's a little misery puss.
I just don't like you.
I've got a cat and it was his birthday.
It was my cat's birthday.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Pathetic.
Just because I like him more than I like any of you, especially you.
Speaks volumes.
That's
for you.
fine. That is fine. You know, stop lashing out.
Perfectly cheerful bloke. Just don't care for either.
Runs deep. Our first question comes from Serge Cabanda, and Serge has put 2 and 2 together. Good job he's done this because it's quite a dry week news-wise. Transfer window has opened earlier than ever, which is good for us. But nothing has happened, and we are just eagerly anticipating the World Cup, aren't we? But we're here, and that's all that counts, and we're together. Thank you, gentlemen. Serge has asked, should Martial and Ousmane Dembele swap places? Look at the state of the script. Look at Joe's face, look at the state of the script. Padran Strawn, kick us off, give us some context around this.
Yeah, it looks like Anthony Martial is on his way out of Man United, right? He's gradually been alienated by Jose Mourinho during the course of the season. Stop it. Get that goblin face away from me.
Stop being weird, Patrick's trying to be professional.
And it seemed, and Chelsea, there have been rumours that they want to swap him with Chelsea for Willian. Now, I like Willian, but it would make much more sense to get Ousmane Dembele. He's also an elite creator, as Willian is. Doesn't have the defensive work rate, but on the other hand, he's about 10 years younger. And he's kind of had this first campaign at Barcelona destroyed by persistent injuries. So I don't know, if you've got two guys who maybe aren't quite finding their feet at their club, then maybe it makes sense to swap them, but I don't see why Dembele would get a shot at Man United when Mourinho hasn't given Martial one, given that every time Martial has got on the pitch, he's scored or assisted. Yes. I don't know what more Martial could have done to have earned a starting spot. 9 league goals in 1,500 minutes. He's their second top goal scorer in the Premier League, Padran Strawn, after Romelu Lukaku. Joe, you're a Man United fan. Why don't you say Man United things right now?
This is not going to happen, is it?
Bit of energy, please. Come on.
Sorry, yes, let's get a bit of energy in the room. No, I just don't think this happens in a million years. Swap deals, especially at this level of player, just don't happen, especially with the amount of money that's involved. There's no way Barcelona swap 140 or 120 million euro asset for someone that was bought in for 50 million, 60 million euros. And okay, he has performed when he's been on the pitch, but has had fairly inconsistent game time. At least when they signed Ousmane Dembele, he's playing nearly every minute of every game for Borussia Dortmund and producing at the top level. Anthony Martial, we all know he's got the natural ability and he's a fantastic dribbler. Scores goals when he's on the pitch, but he just hasn't had the consistent game time. I don't think Barcelona are going to risk a 120 million euro asset to swap for Anthony Martial, even though I think Anthony Martial is probably one of the best young talents in world football.
Do question marks remain over his attitude? He had Statman Dave on Stat Wars the Champions. If you've not watched that, go and watch it.
I think,
and he said that his attitude was appalling, and he's very close to the club, isn't he? Proper fan, you might say.
Yeah, I don't know whether his attitude's appalling or not. I couldn't tell you how he trains because obviously we don't see behind closed doors, do we? But obviously Jose Mourinho likes extremely disciplined players. It's part of the reason I don't think that Anthony Martial would work in a Tottenham setup under Pochettino. I think Pochettino asks too much defensively from his attacking players, and I just don't think that Anthony Martial would be willing to do that. I think that's why Jose doesn't particularly rate him in terms of a forward and prefers Jesse Lingard, because he knows that it'll work back and he knows that if he asks certain things, they will get delivered. I think Anthony Martial is a bit more of a maverick in terms of how he plays football, how he goes forward. He's not going to be asked about tracking back. He is good on the ball, but his off-the-ball work often leaves a lot to be desired. So this is not going to happen for me, but I think Ousmane Dembele might well leave the club this summer. Like over the last few days, the rumblings have started to grow and grow and grow. I saw a lot of reports yesterday. He might go on loan. Like they might loan him out if they bring Griezmann in. Like,
I mean, that makes more sense than selling him.
I know,
but both these scenarios are fucking weird.
Literally 4 or 5 days ago, I was saying there's no way Ousmane Dembele leaves Barcelona. Now the rumblings have grown so loud. I'm kind of thinking like, Jesus, maybe this might actually happen.
The press, mate. Don Ballon, they're in your head.
Yeah, no, Mundo
propaganda.
Deportivo are at it, Sport are at it. Like, most of the Catalan news outlets seem to be pumping this out. Like, a lot of Twitter accounts that seem to be in the know are also saying he's kind of fodder for Barcelona now with Antoine Griezmann in the club.
I think this might be as a result of the Antoine Griezmann transfer actually carrying a bit of weight, right? And
Yerry Mina's also apparently going to
be
allowed to leave the club.
Maybe on loan. I doubt they'd sell him at this point.
I think it's really strange.
If you get Griezmann in and let Dembele go, then suddenly your attack gets very old again, and you've got no one to kind of safeguard the future of it. Like if you need to sell someone to bring Griezmann in, it makes much more sense to let Suarez go and get as much money as you can for him, because he's into his 30s now, and he's less positionally versatile than Dembele, Messi, and Griezmann are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I do struggle to see how they fit all four of those guys in, but Dembele is not the problem that I have.
They're definitely going to cut their losses on a few players. I think Gomez is definitely going to leave.
I
saw reports yesterday of like a €12 million move to West Ham.
This is the thing we rarely talk about when we talk about managers leaving. Like people talk about instability and use all these kind of like vague words, like when there are clubs that sack their managers pretty regularly. But actually there's like a really obvious material cost, which is you build a squad for one person, they pay an exorbitant fee for a young player like Andre Gomes, and then they're gone within 2 years, and suddenly you're stuck with these players that the next guy doesn't want. That's a real issue, you know. So Barcelona could have that as a problem because they don't actually have that much money. You know, they got a huge sum for Neymar, and it's all gone on Coutinho and on Dembele, and they've still got to pay off a stadium.
Yeah, and as odd as their transfer dealings are, I don't think they spend £130 million on a stopgap player for Antoine Griezmann over the course of the season. They knew that Antoine Griezmann was staying there for another year after Atletico Madrid were given that transfer ban, didn't they? So they must have planned for that in the long term. They must be thinking of a way to work that pair into the same system.
And we've all kind of said we feel like just looking at Messi over the past few seasons, the evolution of Lionel Messi is to drop into a midfield role.
But then what of Coutinho? But then what does Coutinho do? Because somehow they've got to find a way then to get Suarez, Griezmann, Dembele, Coutinho. Yeah, but you don't have
Coutinho, Dembele, and Suarez going forward.
But if you have a three in midfield, you can't have Messi and Coutinho in that three. So if you still keep Messi in the front line, then you've got Suarez, Griezmann, and Dembele who have to fit in there. Like one way or another, somebody has to go, is what I'm saying. In fact, possibly two people do, or your system has to really radically change.
So would you sell Luis Suarez?
Yeah, definitely. If I could get good money for him, I would. If I'm bringing in Griezmann, for sure.
Where do we see Luis Suarez going if he was to leave the club and Griezmann was coming instead of Usman?
China, probably.
Really? I think there'd still be some big suitors for Luis Suarez.
I think so. There's a lot of money.
Yeah. I think maybe like a Bayern Munich would take him. I think Juventus would probably take him.
I mean, if Bayern managed to get rid of Lewandowski to the tune of 100 million, which has also been reported, which is stupid, and picked Luis Suarez up for half that amount, they'll probably get the same sort of goals out of him.
Yeah,
in the Bundesliga at current state.
If Juve shifted Higuain and got in Suarez, that'd probably be basically fine. You know.
Yeah, anyway, what was the question? There's one so we don't see this happening, but we do see some other movers and shakers at Barcelona. That squad does need surgery, doesn't it? Messi's carried it by and large this season, although I think Coutinho has looked strong in the season in the league. Whose bloody phone's going off?
Yes,
that's totally professional. Well, let's wrap it up there. So, before we move on then, Michael McLovin, the non-league vlog specialist, went to find out more about KINAVA. Gentlemen, it's happening in London. The World Cup for Unrecognised Nations is happening very soon. If you're interested, then here you go, little gift. Okay, so welcome Continental Club to a special little segment. I have here to my left Kieran Pender, who is the head of media for KINAVA, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, got that right. Nice to, thanks for coming.
Nice to meet you, thanks for having me on.
So very quickly, just to get straight into it, because I'm assuming a lot of our fans probably won't know about KINAVA or may not have that much of a big idea about them. What is KINAVA?
Sure. KINAVA is basically FIFA for teams that aren't in FIFA. So we're a global federation that organises tournaments and does football development work all around the world for teams that aren't in FIFA. On one hand, we have UN member states that aren't in FIFA for whatever reason. On the other end of the spectrum, we have sort of regions and ethnic minority groups. Yorkshire recently became a member. We have different ethnic minority groups. And then in the middle, and perhaps our most controversial members, we have breakaway states, separatist territories, separatist movements, who also want to express their identity through sport. But we're politically neutral, and we just want to give everyone, regardless of history and politics, the opportunity to play football.
What is the Conifa Football World Cup? Not the Conifa World Cup. What is the Conifa Football World Cup, and what makes this year's tournament so exciting?
Sure. So every 2 years we have a Conifa World Football Cup, which brings together some of our teams from all around the world. And we were looking around, where we're going to bring our 2018 tournament. We had our Euros last year in Northern Cyprus, another member. So we thought, well, let's bring football to London. The home of football, the spiritual home. Obviously had bid for the 2018 FIFA World Cup and didn't get it, and that's obviously going to Russia. And so we thought, well, let's bring the World Football Cup to London. There's pros and cons to bring it to London. It comes with a lot more risks. This is a very mature sporting market. We don't have a sort of home team per se. So in Abkhazia, all the Abkhazian games were sold out. The final, which Abkhazia won, they were packed into the stadium. The president declared a public holiday over the loudspeaker after Abkhazia won. I can show you the footage if you're interested.
That's fantastic.
We don't have that in London. It's going to be a different tournament, a different vibe, but we're really hoping all of London, not just these ethnic communities, these regional communities, but everyday football fans, or even not football fans who we hope appreciate what we do, will get out there and support the tournament and really make it a great success.
Is there anyone we should be looking out for at the Conifa Football World Cup this year? Any particular teams?
In terms of on the pitch quality, I think the teams to watch for, Abkhazia, they're the reigning champions. They won in spectacular scenes. Again, I'll show you the footage. It's just spectacular the way they won on penalties in the final. That team is mainly made up of sort of players who play professionally in Abkhazia or in the Russian sort of second division. So that's quite that's a good level. The Northern Cypriot team, they were runners-up at the tournament they hosted in 2017. They're also a fully professional team. They're very good. Padania, which is a region of northern Italy. Italy has a lot of depth in their football culture and through the pyramid there. That's a very strong team. Then there are sort of more heartwarming stories. I don't want to offend our members because all of the teams have really amazing stories, but three that really strike a chord for me. Tuvalu, this tiny Pacific island, is at massive risk of climate change. Kiribati pulled out, Tuvalu stepped up at the last minute. It's very expensive to get a delegation of 23 players from Tuvalu to London. They managed to do it. Most of the players have never left Tuvalu before, and they're coming to London to play football. So I have a soft spot for them. I've got to be neutral, but I have a soft spot for them. The United Koreans of Japan, they left Korea prior to the Korean Civil War, which means that they don't really fit into the category of North or South Koreans. And their dialect is different, and so they're the original. We had at the 2018 Winter Olympics the Korean joint team. This is the original unified Korean team, and they're really nice bunch of people. They've got a player coach who actually played at the FIFA World Cup in 2010 in South Africa for North Korea.
Oh, right.
So that's a high quality team, and we expect them to do well. And finally, Barawa, that's the host team, the home team, as you will. As I said, they're a region of Somalia. It was under Al-Shabaab control, the terrorist group, for a long time. And the Diaspora FA here have been really active in sort of fundraising through football for drought relief, for development. They recently built a stadium in Barawa. They run football development programs there. Really tragically, the stadium was hit by a bomb blast, terrorist attack, just a few weeks ago. So they're doing an amazing job, football development in their homeland and retaining their Baravanese identity here. And we're really happy that they've agreed to sort of host the tournament.
Is there anywhere where people can go to kind of look up more about the teams? Because I'm sure everyone will want a team to root for, right? Based on their stories and based on what they've
So if your viewers go to Conifa, conifa.org, that has all the information you could want. Our ticketing partner Eventum actually put together a quiz which is on their website to sort of help you pick your team,
Oh, right, nice.
which is really good fun. And then, as I said, our title sponsor Paddy Power have done some amazing documentaries, sort of 15-minute documentaries about a few of the teams. The first one went out last week on Tibet. I think the second one's coming out today. I'm not sure when this video goes
This
live.
might be going out next week.
So hopefully,
yeah,
by the time
anyway.
this is out, there'll be another Paddy Power one, and you can find that on their blog. And so hopefully that can give some more background for your viewers, and they can all adopt a team. And we love to see them on the terraces rooting for their team. Come to a game, conifa.org/tickets. Tickets are £10 for adults, £5 for kids, plus a booking fee. You can also buy them on the gate, but it'd mean a lot to us if you pre-order your ticket, because tournaments are expensive and we need every penny we can get. Buy a program, they're £5. They're going to be a sort of tournament souvenir program, 80 pages. I'm working on that right now. That'll be a really nice souvenir from the tournament. And then beyond the tournament, we're always looking for volunteers to help out run Conifa, so get in touch.
Perfect, yeah. Thanks
a
a lot,
lot.
Kieran, yeah.
Thanks
Real
for having
pleasure
me on.
speaking to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael McPern, for that fascinating insight. And if you want to join us at KINAVA, then get in the description below. There is a link where you can buy tickets. Our next question comes from, and final question, comes from Jitta PacSun. And he's asked, following the success of Ademola Lookman's loan and Jadon Sancho's move to Dortmund, do you think more British talent will opt to play abroad? A little bit like Reece Oxford, saying, I don't want to come back to West Ham. Please, can I stay in the Bundesliga? What do you think, Patrick? Because it's a trend that we'd encourage, right?
Yeah, though, I mean, I've seen a lot of people talking about Lookman and Sancho getting chances in the Bundesliga, but that hasn't really been true. I mean, both of them have had about 600 minutes in the Bundesliga. Admittedly, Lookman only went in January, but you kind of think, well, maybe they'd have had those minutes in the Premier League, especially Lookman, given the way Everton's season went. So I kind of feel a little bit like, if one of them goes and plays 2,000 minutes, is a regular, then we can maybe talk about this. And I do think we are going to see more of these players like targeted by other teams around the continent. But these are elite talents, they're not just like average players, and at some point it's going to go down to the average players, and then they'll realise British talent's terrible.
Right, Patto's cleared his throat. The whistle has been silenced. Oh, he's not.
No, come on.
Now he has.
Shut up and get
Joe, what do you think? British players moving abroad?
Yeah, I think it's good to see.
English
But I think actually English players in England are starting to get a lot more opportunities. You look at Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool, he's been really good this season, played a lot of minutes. Even the likes of Marcus Rashford gets maligned for not playing very many minutes. He's still played nearly 2,000 minutes in all competitions for Manchester United this season. That is a much bigger number than a player like Jadon Sancho, like we've already talked about, getting 500 to 600 minutes sporadically, and most of those have come towards the back end of the season.
Jadon Sancho being 17 makes that a little bit more of a unique case,
Yeah,
doesn't
of
it?
cour's, but Trent Alexander-Arnold's only 19. Let's face it, Ademola Lookman is older than Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Alexander-Arnold's blowing him out of the water in terms of minutes
Did
played in the top
Alexander-Arnold
team.
get all these minutes because Nathaniel Klein was injured? As in, would he have been given that same level of trust had he not been the only option?
No, potentially. But then, like, I get a little bit tired of people raving about the amount of minutes given to English players abroad when, like Pato's already said, it's a little bit of a myth. Ademola Lookman working miracles at RB Leipzig and he's really improving, stepping up his game. Yeah, he has been involved in a lot of goals towards the back end of the season and in very few minutes, in 600 minutes. But would he have got the same amount of minutes at Everton? Probably. He'd probably got 700 minutes in the Premier League at Everton this season.
Given that Vlasic is playing out wide, Velasi's not been great.
And
There's no pace
and
in
he
the
is playing it.
side.
And obviously
And
RB Leipzig are a superior team to Everton, so he is playing for a better side under probably a better coach. So that is a good aspect. But I kind of feel like the whole English players get so many more minutes when they go abroad. They really get used to the maximum ability. No, they don't. Like there is a reason that English players don't go abroad, because number one, most of them can't speak the language and are too lazy to. But also, they're not guaranteed minutes abroad either. It's like if an English player just walks abroad, everybody seems to think, he'll start in every team. He won't. Some of these players are young and not good enough.
Not at the level of the Bundesliga anyway. Like, I mean, in the Eredivisie, you do see players getting a lot of minutes. Like Mason Mount, Solanke's had it, Izzy Brown, Lewis Baker, those kind of guys from Chelsea going out to Vitesse mainly.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't know. In a way, you need a league between the Eredivisie and the Bundesliga. Probably like Ligue 1, which is more competitive than the Eredivisie, but not as taxing.
I think this is a trend we're going to see continue to grow. Maybe young, prodigious talent won't head to German shores permanently or elsewhere. Maybe English clubs with their newfound riches from TV deals will start to loan them out a little bit more serially. Like Chelsea with Christensen, he went to Gladbach for 2 years, then he came back, sort of slotted in seamlessly, and has offered them an awful lot this season. He's looked like one of the most assured defenders at times. Real Madrid have been doing this for a little while. They sent, obviously, Dani Carvajal on loan to Leverkusen for a season before bringing him back for relatively little cash on a permanent basis after seeing his stock sort of skyrocket there. Vallejo went on loan last season as well. So maybe English clubs are just waking up to how fertile the Bundesliga can be in terms of sending your overspill there. I mean, Chelsea need to find a destination for all these various talents. Obviously, we talked about the Eredivisie, but not many of those stars that played at the test have sort of broke through. Who's the guy that's currently on loan at Feyenoord? He's been out on loan for about 3 or 4 years. Van Ginkel. He's never going to break into the Chelsea first team. But it's they're a bit of a unique case, I suppose, because it's a sort of business model for them as well, isn't it? Kind of hoarding this young talent and selling it on. But yeah, as long as they're getting minutes, I'm all for this. I'd like to see some English talent in Serie A. Throwback to the 80s, 90s.
Well, I mean, Ravel Morrison tried it, right?
Cutting it about in that
But he was just a so.
And that's that. Might as well end the show there. Thank you for tuning in. Next week we'll be better. All right?
Sorry.
No guarantees, though.
What else is on? What has actually been good on Football Daily this week? Most of it, I'd say. It's been a pretty good week.
Just post FBAs, the weekend's content won't be top notch. But Sunday vibes will be, because we shot that on the day beforehand.
So,
Jesus.
Go and watch VFN. That's also out. Go and watch That Was the Champions and have a bloody good weekend. See you later.
It's finished!